lost moments. I wonder what I might say.
Do you want to start by saying, this is great? I think it'll be okay.
All right.
First things first. Joshua, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Liquid Death. It's my favorite water.
I'm doing a Black Rifle coffee. Shout out to Jake, the man, the myth, the legend, making this podcast happen from the back seat. And I'm so glad everyone agreed to do this craziness. So after you, Joshua, go ahead.
All right. Well, this is a little different, Curran, than the normal podcast that I'm used to. I didn't think they were normal, but welcome to the line.
Thanks for having me.
So I wanted to talk to you while we're on this road trip. Just kind of curious about your why. Like why Blackline?
Ooh.
But why are you here, man?
Man, what a question. I thought you were going to at least like warm me up a little bit and be like, hey, Curran, who are you? What are you doing here?
That's your way of redirecting to talk about what you want to talk about.
Well, and just like that, everybody, we're gonna pivot to this, and this will be just fine. So
that'll work. So yeah, what is your history? Where you come from?
Well, first of all, I'm Curran Blevins, creative director of Blackline, and I am 35 years old. I have 3 kids, a beautiful wife, and I couldn't be happier, honestly, to be a part of Blackline. And it's interesting because the path that kind of led me here was something I definitely wasn't expecting. I would say that's like kind of threw me for a loop to start. But my quick 0 to 60 background is I am failed rock star, went to college and didn't have a good time in it and ended up dropping out after 3 years. So I am probably one of the people that should have never gone to college in the first place. And I think that is the perfect transition into the question you kind of asked, right?
Right.
You said, hey, like, why Blackline? And for me specifically, Blackline is something I wish I knew about years ago. And I would say Blackline for me is physically breaking the miseducation that people have towards the trades, or towards, I'm going to even call them as vague as options.
Yeah.
Let's just say job options, job opportunities in the space. Growing up, basically people all the time were like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, I want to be a rock star. Oh, I want to be Taylor Swift. I want to be, I want to be a scientist or a doctor. No one ever really grew up saying, like, hell, for a perfect example, at PBZ, when I was capturing there a couple days ago, photo and video, there was like 37 jobs I've never heard of before just at PBZ.
And just like PBZ is a fabrication shop, they make and fabricate things. They use CNC equipment, welding. They all of the things that are built that we see, whether it's chairs or light bases, light poles, all that stuff, they make it all.
100%. And even in that same building, Keystone Coating, which is a powder coating shop, like in that space, yet again, 30 some jobs I never heard of before. And anybody from people out on the line doing stuff to people in the back office, so on and so forth. So I think my why, before we get too far into my exact history of myself and my situation, my main why is to break the miseducation or the standardization and requirement, almost like fictitious fake requirement, that you have to go to college in order to survive, in order to make enough money, or whatever we were kind of told, right?
Right.
That's the thing that I struggle with. Is I felt coming out of high school or coming out that I didn't know any other way. There was no other option.
Yeah.
And it's interesting just because I would like to hear, before I tell too much more personally about my story, where do you think that came from?
So restate that to me just so that I can really grasp what you're asking me there.
So like I said, my parents are the first of their family to go to college. Right. My mom, my dad, first of their family to go to college. My mom has a ton of siblings, and my dad was basically on his own since 16. He had somebody. His father was in. Well, that one went down.
There we go.
We're just gonna keep rolling with it. So my father was in the armed force, or my grandfather was in the armed forces, and my dad was super tired of basically moving around and not being able to go to play high school sports. And with him not being able to play high school sports, he was on his own since 16. So my dad's on his own since 16. My mom has 6+ siblings, and she was the one who was not in trouble, so her mom never cared about her, didn't pay attention to her. And they put themselves both through college on their own dimes, everything. And they were the first people in their family, their parents didn't go to college. So what I'm asking you, Joshua, is where from them going to college or feeling accomplished being the first people who went to college in their family, did it become a mandatory requirement for people to go to college in order to be a worthy person in society?
Yeah.
Or to have a job,
Well, that's an interesting question. I think I'll speak to it first as a parent.
Yeah.
As my son is with us on this trip, and he is in the follow car with us. He's 15. The reason he's on this trip is to see that there are many options as to what you can do. Yeah. And I think, probably speaking as a parent, we want our children to have success. I think one of our biggest fears is that will they have what they need? Will they be able to survive? Mm-hmm. And we want to eliminate hardship for them. Mm-hmm. And I actually think that, and I don't know this, but maybe in your case, that's what they knew that worked. Yeah. That's what they knew that worked, and in their caring for you, they knew that it worked, and it worked for them. And so they wanted to encourage you to go down that line. And let's just be honest. There's a huge marketing campaign to promote colleges as the way to success. Yeah. Right now in our culture, I don't know about back then, but it has become that. Then I think it came from, it didn't used to be that not everybody could go to college, but really there's no excuse anymore. There's nothing holding you back to go to college. For sure. There are grants, there's money, I doubt that any of that stuff was there when your parents went through to the extent that it is now.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, probably 30 years ago when my parents went to college, plus, 30 plus years ago.
Did they go to college before you were born or after you were born? Because, I just want to help you with math here.
Sorry.
So it's definitely more than 30 years.
Well, I'm trying to think of when, like you said, the grants and everything.
If you're listening, it's probably 40 to 45 years ago.
Probably 45, yeah. Because I am 35. Yeah, reference, got it. And so, honestly, I'm wondering when a lot of that changed, when those grants and things came in, like you said, like for them to put themselves through college. A lot of people now might have that same situation, but now, like you said, the grants and so on and so forth. And that's an entire monster. The education system itself is an entire different monster that I don't know enough about, I don't understand, and I don't want to get into. But I appreciate you kind of giving me that perspective of they just want what they think is best, or to put me in the best position of success.
Absolutely.
And where I then circle back into my story is, as much as I appreciate that, and as much as I appreciate them pushing me forward to that, I then left after 3 years, dropping out, having a shitload of student loans and money that I owed, that I paid off and worked my ass off years to come.
That's quite a feeling to owe, isn't it?
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Not even just owe. I didn't get a degree.
Wow.
Every other person that went to college and owed got a degree. I went 3 years.
Wow.
And dropped out and literally threw away thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
For an education that A, I didn't want, B, I didn't use, and C, to this day, I'm not accredited or have a degree that I can put on any application I ever applied for.
Well, I happen to know you're not accredited, but I happen to know that you make decent money. And I think that's the thing. And the other thing is, I don't think that you're limited, that's all that you ever can make.
No. Well, so let's talk about what I do.
Yeah.
Right? Me now. And
hey, let me feel like I have a point in this podcast.
Oh.
Curran, let's talk about what you do.
Hey. Yeah, well, Sorry, the reason I brought that up is because you said, I make good money, I'm not accredited, but I have a skill.
That's right.
And that's why I think it's interesting to kind of circle into that right now, where I went to college. I went for business admin, and I had a minor in communications.
Right now, I'm hoping you have great skill in multitasking.
I live in the space of craziness going on. So and in my past life, working in music for years, I failed rock star, worked in music as an artist manager for years, and did production management for New Year's Eve Times Square for a couple of years. I pride myself in driving long hours, many road trips. So this is a comfortable space for me. But the skill, right? You said, hey, you left college 3 years, no piece of paper.
Yeah.
And it's ironic because in that time, I didn't learn anything of value. Nothing. The only thing I learned in college was the term comparative advantage. That was it. And I've said this many times. I've spoken to a couple different colleges, ironically, as an artist manager in music back then, and I've been asked to speak, and I always just present the concept of comparative advantage. And I'm sure you're familiar with it, but for those who are listening, comparative advantage is if you are able to find out what you do better than someone else next to you with less opportunity cost, less time invested, and you're more efficient at it, the better you will be, right? And so I remember the textbook example. I still to this day remember that example because it was a potato farmer and a rancher. Obviously, the potato farmer is better at growing potatoes, and the rancher's better at ranching.
I've heard this story. This is a good story.
But both the potato farmer and the rancher did the opposite as well. So the potato farmer also ranched, and the rancher also grew potatoes. So they had a conversation one day, and they realized, and they're like, hey, you know what? If we focus on what we do better than the other person, putting 100% of our effort here rather than splitting it into two different places.
Right.
And if we traded at the end of the week, we would have more cows, more potatoes in this example, for lack of a better term. But we would be better off doing what we do best with less opportunity cost and less waste, right?
Absolutely.
And so I learned that, and I was sitting there going, wow, like, this is what college is. And then for the next 2.5 years, I learned absolutely nothing. And it was interesting to me because I decided to leave because I was in a band, yada, yada, yada. And to this day, my mother, once a month will come over and say, I want you to finish your degree. And I cannot understand the purpose, and this is not dissing people who go to college. Please,
especially your mom. You love your mom.
100%. Love my mom. Love my dad.
That's important, Mom. He loves you.
Yeah, and I just will never understand why to this day I would go back to read a book. And I'm sure programs are changing at this point because they have to adopt or die because YouTube University is crushing everyone.
Right.
Everyone Googles now, and everyone learns everything on YouTube about how to do stuff. And it was interesting just because I left school, started managing artists in a space that obviously you don't need a degree to do that.
Right.
You're making it up as you go, and you're surviving and trying creative things. And who's to say a degree quantifies or qualifies creativity, right? Or uniqueness or management. Right. Or any of those things that actually you're going to school for. I've had many managers that were absolutely terrible and they went to college for management. I've had tons of people who were some of the hardest working, most passionate, fantastic leaders rather than managers who never went to college. So, so circling back into that kind of question, the why, for me personally, being in high school, I will never forget, it was never a, what are you going to do after high school? It was, what college are you going to after high school? Right. And it's interesting just because I'm going to talk more about my parents and my upbringing in general. My parents specifically knew from age 3, because I've heard this story, that they couldn't parent me the same way as they parented all 3 of my brothers. Because when I was 3 years old at a Labor Day party in front of my dad's entire law firm, he told me not to do something. I said no. He told me not to do something. I ran across the street and said, give it your best shot, and pulled down my pants. And from that moment, they were like, if we break this child, this driven person, and just bend him into something that is not normal for him, it's not going to be a good scenario. We're breaking that leadership, that drive, that emotion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested because they parented me that way, but they never opened different doors. Maybe they didn't know how.
Well, I mean, if you don't do something, the fact of the matter is the reason that the trades are so crucial right now is because people don't know. They don't know how. There is knowledge disappearing from our world, and people don't know how. And so if you don't know, then you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the miseducation part.
Exactly.
Like nowhere in high school, I graduated in 2006. So nowhere years ago where you sat down with a guidance counselor like, here's 73,000 different opportunities that you could do tomorrow and make money.
Right.
But the most interesting part to me is, and I think it's common today as well, and I'm sure we're getting blown out now with the beautiful sunrise as we're coming up. It's 8:53 a.m. and we're driving to Nashville, but the most common thing to me I find interesting is people still to this day are like, hey, how much does a plumber make? $20,000 a year? And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. Like, no.
Well, and the deal is you can make whatever you want to make. You can make 60,000, 70,000. You can make 120,000. It depends on what you want to do and your drive and how driven you are.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And I think that's the number one thing, or my why, is because I truly want to break the miseducation or feeling that people, whether you're 16, like your son Connery, like back there in that car, like if he's on this trip and he's wanting to have doors open in front of him to see what opportunities and jobs there are, whether it's trucking, whether it's trades, whether it's whatever it may be, like I want the miseducation and negative outlook that people have towards trades as like a less than, we're not trades, we're pious mentality, like towards that. I want that to be broken down because without them, we're not going to be able to flush our toilets or turn on our electric. That's one thing. Yeah, I need you. Like, it's a need.
Well, I mean, we're driving on a road right now that I'm sure tradesmen had a part in.
It's for sure. Without, we don't survive. And I think people take that shit for granted. And
we absolutely do.
And we don't think about it until it hurts. And I mean, I know one of the examples I told you before I started Blackline, I tried to get my truck repaired for something, my air ride system, and they're like, yeah, the first appointment's 29 days. And I'm like, 29 days? What do you mean? I can't stop by Firestone tomorrow, bro? And they're like, we don't have enough people. Yeah. And so, you know, when we first met, we were talking about the issue at hand, which was the people problem. There's not enough people going into trades. They're not willing, you know, or people are kind of just skipping it. They're going right to college, getting a degree, and working in fucking Old Navy. Sorry. You know, and that kills me inside because those people don't know what to do. So instead of there being a position where they can learn about opportunities, they blindly follow because of the miseducation that they have. Yeah. And so my why is I want to showcase, highlight through whether it's social media, whether it's, you know, the tools that I'm able to in creating for other contractors or tradesmen and women, and whether it's photo or video or creating ads or whatever that is. Like, I want to show as many people as possible, not only how cool it is, because it's cool, and I'm not here to make it look sexy and cool and trick anybody, but the construction industry itself is the last industry that is willing to break into this social media space.
We are absolutely behind. There's no doubt about it.
And to me, I see that as less of an opportunity, but more the ability to take that by the horns, using the skill set that I've learned over time through photo and video and creative and marketing and so on and so forth, and give that as a tool to these people and get them on the internet. Yeah. Because if they're not on the internet and they're not where these 17-year-old kids, 16-year-old kids, I don't care, 23, people go into the service industry and they make good money bartending until 23 or 4 and they go, well, what's next? Right. Like, where is the care of these sort of jobs and positions that it's ironic? Like, and I mean, there's a lot of essential, that word, essential, you know, people out there, and there's no like trades contractor month. You know, there's no like, there's no like, oh wow, like road workers of the month. You know, there's no.
Are you wanting us to start a calendar? I mean, what would that look like? No shirts, but safety vests? Like, I'm just trying to picture it.
No. But I mean, there's no awareness being highlighted to things that actually are needed. Where if they disappeared, we would be stuck. Yeah. You know, I was sitting at home yesterday, you know, prepping stuff for this trip, and my wife called downstairs and she goes, "Hey, honey, all of the lights are flickering." And I went, and I turned on the lights in the kitchen. They were flickering as well. And my instantaneous reaction goes, crap, because I'm leaving on a week-long trip. What if I'm not there and something happens? You know, XYZ, the first person that can come out is 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now.
Right.
Because nobody is talking about the importance of this. And that's where I'm kind of struggling right now, where I'm going to let this tractor trailer kind of, you know, I'm going to let him go because he's bigger than me.
I do appreciate that you are paying attention to the road.
Yeah, after you, sir. So, you know, it's interesting to me where the government, right, the government and this big thing that I have no control over is not putting more time, effort, and care into the trades. And I'm not going to say it's because colleges have more money and they have football teams that make a ton of money in XYZ. I'm not going to say that here. But where...
I'm glad that you're not going to say that.
Not going to say that. Yeah. But where and when is it going to change before we all feel some pain?
Right.
That's my why. My why is I want to get off the bench into the game.
Yeah. So you're saying that trade schools should start football teams? So here we have the journeyman team.
Listen, I guess I'm saying, well, we need more money to influence people to care, right? Like,
well, I think part of that is some of the old timers that are in the trades, and oh man, so we're gonna say, of course, on this conversation that we're having with you, we're gonna say some pretty edgy things. We need to stop being like, well, I'm making good money and I'm not reinvesting it in the next generation.
Yeah.
We need to stop.
Oh, well, sorry.
No, that's all right. That's all right. We find solutions.
Yes.
You know.
We do.
But we need to stop thinking about when we're making this money in the trades, we need to be reinvesting it in some of this stuff. And some is being aware of it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I call it the phone book mantra. When I started my company years ago, I paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for phone book ads.
Yeah.
And some people are still doing that. You know, and it might not be a phone book anymore, but they might be doing it another way and not realizing what's out there and how to communicate and lift the view of the skilled trades.
Yeah, and it's such a weird spot, right? It's such a weird spot because what you said earlier is you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that's all that's available. A lot of people are scared of social media. A lot of people are scared of, you know, whether it's search engine optimization or whether it's, you know, hiring a marketing team in-house who can create consistent content, or hiring somebody like us on a retainer for us to create for you, right? They're scared of that because they go, wait, I have to pay you what with a question mark as a return?
Right.
You know, there is no finite defined thing. This is not like when you hire a marketing team, they don't walk in the door and go, oh, fix the toilet.
Right.
Right? Like at the end of it, I look and I go, hey, here's amazing photos and videos, and hey, like I'm building this social media influence and following and these things that you have, and hey, we're highlighting you guys on our page because that's huge for us. Like we're constantly highlighting all the different businesses that we work with to make them in hopes of getting that one kid to see the reel or that one post and go, dang, that's really cool. Like I was working on this, and this is off topic a little bit, but I was working on a blacksmith post for blacksmith,
right?
Like for a blacksmith, you know, that craft, and that is probably one of the quickest dying crafts because welding.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's interesting to me because I was like, hey, this is unique to me. I think I was looking it up and it was like 10 or 14 in the 10,000 or 14,000 total blacksmiths in the United States left.
Wow.
Left. And you know, we talk about Well,
just unplug your router for an hour and see how that feels.
Do you have kids? If I don't have Moana going at all times, I am up creek, bro.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, to that statement, you talk about when is the government going to notice?
Yeah.
I'm not waiting around for the government to notice.
Correct.
The fact of the matter is that's the problem. The government, listen, they're probably going to come for us in like little black cars. I don't know.
Technically, we're in black cars this time.
We are. We are the men in black.
Yes.
But I mean, the government's not going to help us.
Yeah.
We've heard that old statement, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Yeah.
We all know that that's not true. Mm-hmm. But what will happen is when we start to move, other people start to notice.
Correct.
And so it's, for me, I mean, I know we're talking about your why, but I believe our why is we're not waiting around because our children are important.
Yep.
And we want to be investing in that.
Well, continue that thought, right? Blackline. Yeah. Everybody who works at Blackline, although we have different personalities, characteristics, stuff like that, we have a very similar ethos or mindset that has a common thread, right? So my why, although it might be my parents in college, it can be assimilated in different ways through Jake, through you, through Jeremy, but it all kind of starts at the same baseline, which allows us to operate the way we do very specifically because we have that shared common goal. And I think that's more interesting where the more people we get, that this is beautiful. Nobody's seeing this, but this is absolutely gorgeous. The more people we talk to, we're actually finding have the passion, don't know where to start, don't know how to get involved, don't know how to make a change, don't know what to do, but we're like assembling. So
is this Avengers Assemble? Is that what this is?
Yeah, I get, right? Right? Like, I don't want to say it's a call to action, but it is.
It is.
It's saying, hey, we need you, whether you consider yourself a tradie or a tradesman or a tradesman. I don't care what trade you're a part of. I don't care if you're on the edge of the trades and you work with the trades. I don't care if you work in marketing, but you want to get involved somehow and figure out a way to find common ground and do what we do.
Right.
We need people to care. We need eyes. We need people to click the share button. We need to do whatever we can to support these men and women in this space. And so the why leave working for large real estate developers, right? That's where I came from for the last 6 years. I've been working
corporate jet life, right?
Yeah.
Or private jet.
Yeah, private jet life. Flying and developing and working in that protected ad space, and that to me, although was very lucrative, is the word I'm going to say, lucrative.
It's a good word.
It did not allow me to wake up feeling fulfilled and feeling like I personally made a difference or it didn't fulfill my character as a being. And I think you're learning that more as we hang out.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty emotionally, passionately driven. Anything I do.
I didn't notice.
Yeah. I'm sure
actually,
you did.
I'm learning. I'm not necessarily learning it more. It's pretty obvious from the first time that I met you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the ethos that most of the people at Blackline share is we really, really believe.
Yeah.
We believe and we care.
Yeah.
Also, because I think that you're touching on something that's really interesting to me. Because everybody, I literally was just talking with a young man the other day who's in the apprenticeship, and he was dealing with the whole thing of, well, I'm a first-year apprentice, and it's a 4-year program, and he's like, I could go drive for UPS right now and make $178,000 a year.
Yeah.
And it's like, what you just touched on is the fact that, and you're 35, I'm older.
And 37.
I'm
you
saying,
turned 37.
Yeah,
yes.
I like that. 37 is good. We'll go with that.
Perfect.
Thank you. But when I talk to younger people, they're like, yeah, well, you already have made all your money. You already have, you can't relate to me, and when you say put this in. But the deal is, this is the point. Making money, while important to provide for our families and to live, I found it very helpful, by the way, making as much as we can is not always the most fulfilling thing out there.
Correct.
And I believe that fulfillment and purpose is something that we need as a people, as human beings. And it's like you have to figure out what it is that you need to live, and you need to not make money the purpose.
Yes.
Like it's a tool that you need to live, but if it is the end all goal and it is the purpose,
it's not your litmus test.
Exactly.
It can't be the litmus test of what you consider success or failure. And and it's ironic. I was talking to my wife Savannah about this yesterday. I was like, honey, like, we chose certain things to keep working after having kids.
Right.
Because we, I'm divorced, remarried, and so in my first marriage, it's like money was a point of contention often. And so I understand what you're saying in terms of it's not a litmus test of success or failure. And what I'm trying to get kind of from the Savannah story is we chose because we wanted to give our kids a certain XYZ, or like her family's in Florida, so for traveling.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I mean, I could have easily sold my soul, right, and continue to do whatever for corporate.
Right.
Like you could do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she saw the wear and tear because of my inability to detach emotion from what I do.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a hard space because I personally in this space have created a unique position of what I do.
Yes,
like
you have.
like my creative director position is very different than many other creative directors with things.
You don't think other creative directors are driving a Bronco on the highway doing a podcast while filming it?
No, I don't. But that's what makes it fun, right? Like, and that's
for you,
for me. But I think for a lot of people too. It gives. I want people to aspire for things. I want to push boundaries, and I want to do that. And I think a lot of other places don't allow you to grow in that. And so I think that whatever my parents saw at that 3-year-old, minute where they said, "Hey, give me your best shot." To be clear,
they saw your ass. That's what you said.
They did. But whatever they saw in me at that moment, they were like, we could either break this kid, or we could let him continue to have this challenging drive that will, no matter where he ends up, he'll push forward. He will continue. And so I think that's my kind of call to action to anybody in high school or that's 23 in the service industry and they're tired of working nights or I often joke about it. Like, I'm like, hey, like what I want to do is I want to, every time I go into Sheets, give my business card to somebody and say, hey, listen, you're in here and you bust ass with a smile every single day and you're working long hours and you're probably not going home going, man, my last name has Sheets in it. I'm a Sheets brother.
Right.
Like, so why not make a change, make more money, give yourself the opportunity to be something more and actually get in the game? That's my goal.
I share that goal with you, and I think I wish that younger people would know that's the time to send it and try 8 different things. Yeah. Like that's the time that money is different. Mm-hmm. Like, one of the things that's hard in the trades, when I was talking to this young man the other day, he's starting at the bottom. Yep. And he has work to get there, and it takes time. Yep. But it's like, when you're younger, when you're in your early 20s, what have you got to lose? Yeah. Like the last time when I first heard that statement, I was trying to decide, well, should I go out on my own and start my own business? Mm-hmm. And one of my best friends said to me, what have you got to lose? What's the worst that could happen? Yeah. So if you're a young person, the question that I think you have to ask yourself is, what do you have to lose? And the fact of the matter is, you can do this stuff, decide you don't like it, and your life isn't over.
Well, and challenging that, and this is a TV show, but The Bear, have you watched The Bear on Hulu?
I have watched The Bear.
Okay. The older brother? Yeah. Who, divorced and that whole situation? Yep. Like, I don't think there's ever a time that you can't change.
100% agree.
And no, I'm not saying, at 56 or 60 when you're retiring, you should go and become an apprentice and work long.
Well, just to be clear, when I was a first-year apprentice, I was in class with a 45-year-old.
I'm not saying you can't. I'm not.
It's just harder.
That's what I'm saying is, hey, listen, like, if you're not feeling fulfilled,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that being a concrete worker is going to fulfill you, because I don't know who I'm talking to. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know who's listening.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is I'm talking to the person listening. I'm saying, hey, listen, if you hate what you do, if you do not think there is a place for you, if you do not think there's something better out there, you're not looking hard enough or in the right places.
Yeah.
You know,
I would agree.
Or you haven't hit that rock bottom that's caused you to change, you know?
Yeah.
And I said the bear episode because, like, you see that older brother, you know, if you haven't referenced this, there's an older brother and the younger brother, and the dude's like refusing to change, and his younger brother sends him away, and he learns a new skill set and a new passion and a new love for cooking, you know, or for being a front of house sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting. I mean, he was probably 45.
Yeah.
Something like that, you know?
Well, I mean, related to that, don't you think I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you here, but the thing that I find, this is the important factor, and this is what your parents saw in you when you were young. And I mean, I've heard more of your story, and we'll probably talk about that more later sometime. But in that show, he has drive. Yeah. He has grit. Yep. I mean, he works hard. In the trades, listen, if you don't want to work hard, then the trades are not for you. Yeah. Let me just say that right now. It is hard work, but if you want something that doesn't have a ceiling, that doesn't have a limit on where you can go and what you can do, then it is the trades. Yeah. I mean, that. Well,
there's less corporate structure, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it pains me to say, it's like I look at these massive conglomerates. You know, you brought up UPS earlier, right? You know, my older brother, he worked for UPS for years, and I remember, like, right out of college, like whatever, early 20s, started working for UPS. Just left UPS, I think, a year ago at this point. And it's, to me, I'm like, wow, like, you gave like 15 years of your life to this company. Right. And they paid you. Yes, they took care of you. Yes, it was safe. Yeah, XYZ. It's like, I don't live in that space. Right. Like, I live in the space, and I'm not saying you can't have a safe trade job, but what I'm saying is, for people who are interested, like you said, in working hard, you could get in, learn everything you need to, start your own. Or you could get 17 different, like you posted the other day about electricians, right? And it blew my mind knowing about how many, like, opportunities there are in being an electrician. And I couldn't even fit them all on the post. That's what I mean. I knew that, but that's so interesting to me, because when I say electrician, if we were to start a whole series on Instagram that we walked around and said, what does an electrician do? And they're gonna be like, oh, they wire houses and fix light bulbs. Like, and you know, and that to me circles back around to that miseducation. And my pure goal is this, to be like, hey, like, by the way, just because it's not a Tesla sedan and they pull up in, they can afford the Tesla sedan, but they're driving a Ford F-250 that's actually $150,000. Yeah. You know what I mean? You just have no idea. Yeah. And so people do not understand. They do not have the proper education to realize that you do not have to go to college and work. Like I said, a majority of people getting degrees now are doing whatever. But I'm going to correct myself really quick. My brother is in med school. If you were becoming a surgeon, you got to go to college. Yeah. You know, like, there's certain careers that you know, if you want to be a lawyer, you have to go to college. That's it is what it is, right? I'm pretty sure that you have to do that, or otherwise you go to jail. Correct. Yeah. And so those are the things that I kind of ask myself, where I'm like, hey, listen, like, if you're wondering, it's not for me, you like working hard, blah, 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 blah. Like, if that's you and you want the ability to have a skill that no one can ever take away from you, like, no one will ever be able to take away photography, videography. It's only becoming more important right now for me. And then there's leadership, and then there's other skill sets. And I mean, we'll touch about my background and another, whether it's how I work construction, or worked on tree farms, or worked, you know, baling hay on a farm, and we'll do all that another day. But I mean, at the end of the day, my why is to break the miseducation that people have and lift the view. Come on. Continue lifting the view. Our mission, you know, our vision. Our vision of the skilled trades. And my sole goal is to do that through the only way I know how, which is by covering the internet. Yeah. With media. Yeah. With media. And if you are a company listening to this, if you are a person, and and you want to shoot the shit with me and talk about it, please do. We're here for you in that regard. Like, we are here for you to talk. We're here for you to brainstorm. We're here to help shoot photography, videography. We're driving down today to Nashville to capture one of our clients down there, and then we're heading down to Houston to shoot, to go to Dirt World, but also capturing another client there. Like, people are doing this. If you're not, it's not a matter of you're unique, you're behind.
100%. 100%.
So, this was
fun.
Yeah, this is fun. Unique.
Yeah, this is unique.
We're holding everything because everything started falling apart. But,
Curran, I just really appreciate talking with you here today. And I would just encourage people, there are options. If you're not sure what you want to do, there are options. I started as a laborer moving material on a job, and now I'm driving in Broncos with a company that I own. So there isn't a ceiling, and it all comes down to your drive and how hard you want to work. So, well, thanks, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And this is definitely one for the books.
For sure. All right.